It's LeBron versus KD. It's their star versus their star. It's who do you trust? Who do you believe in? Who uplifts people around them? Who's a great teammate? Who's having fun, et cetera, et cetera. You actually said something last night on SportsCenter that Kevin Durant and this Houston Rockets team should be disgusted. Correct. Was the word that you used.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, look, there's, here in Los Angeles, the admiration for this, what this team is doing and what Luka Kennard and Marcus Smart and J.J. Redick are doing, this is, absolutely the appropriate thing to do as a Laker fan, is to bask in the unexpected run that you got putting together here. There's nothing like the joy of an unexpected run in sports, especially in basketball. And that absolutely should be enjoyed and kept an eye on and celebrated. But from somebody in my job or George's job who works in the national coverage of the NBA, this is a Houston Rockets story as much as it's a Lakers story. Because, yes, the Lakers are doing some awesome stuff here, but the Houston Rockets' ineptitude and the fumbling of this opportunity given to them to play a higher seed where two of their three best players are hurt, and you are given a great opportunity to get into the second round in the Western Conference where there are no buys. Maybe I guess you could say Oklahoma City getting this Phoenix team could be ended up like a buy. Sorry, George. But
that's where I'll be tonight.
Yeah.
But I acknowledge that the Lakers are doing a really good job on defense. But let's be honest, this ineptitude of the Rockets is sickening. If I was a Rockets fan, I would be sickened.
Who do you blame the ineptitude on? Because I've heard a lot of people blame either the coach. I've heard people blame Durant. I've heard people blame team chemistry. I'm just curious, where do you come down on your level of blame?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, they had an unfortunate thing happen to them where their point guard got hurt like a week before the start of the season.
Right. Never played a game.
And I won't go into detail, but they were particularly put into a pickle with that because of where their cap position was and where their roster was. However, they went into the season without a backup point guard. It's kind of like going into an NFL season without any sort of real plan at backup quarterback. I understand if your starter gets hurt, you may not win the Super Bowl, but every NFL team has got to have some plan. They had no plan for backup. They went through the whole regular season and didn't develop a plan for a backup. I mean, a good one. They did stuff. It wasn't like they did nothing, but they didn't develop. They had opportunities and didn't. And throughout the whole season, their coach did not develop any sort of thing that they could go to late in games. Then Durant is very obviously struggling when he gets these double teams, but he is making decisions, George, that are just insane. He did a couple of things last night. He threw a pass in the fourth quarter. He tried to throw it through three guys.
Right. Got tipped by who was it? It was Luka Kennard who actually tipped it.
If it wasn't Kennard, it would have been Jackson Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing some stuff that makes no logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the chemistry thing goes, we all know about the burner thing. I don't know how I don't know how it affected that team. I don't know if it's true. I don't know how that affected the team. That doesn't affect the X and O that happens in the fourth quarter. But obviously that's something that happened to this team this year. So, it's not one or two people. It's an array. But bottom line, you got to deal with a team that's playing, not their best team at all. I mean, to be okay, I may allow 1-1. Marcus Smart has a brilliant shooting game. Luka Kennard is red hot. Okay, you're on the road. You got LeBron James. Okay, 1-1. To be down 0-2, that is a fumble for the Rockets. And I don't want to take anything away from the Lakers, but this is a combination of things that's happening here.
Okay. Wow. Lot there, George. You want to jump right in?
Yeah, look, I think that, and I talked about this before the series, Brian, I don't think you were on that day, that the Lakers are better suited defensively to handle the Rockets than they would be if Luka and Austin were available. And they're kind of leaning into that in a way that allows them to be successful. And I think back to the last time I spoke to JJ, I did Lakers Warriors on ESPN radio. And they had come off those really bad losses to Dallas and whoever else they lost to or whatever it was. I don't remember now off the top of my head.
It was the 2 Oklahoma City games and the Dallas game in the middle.
Right. And I asked him, like, how do you kind of salvage this? Like, how do you kind of spin this forward? And he said, look, first of all, I got to look at myself, right? Because I've clearly made, mistakes here, and I've not handled this great, and I need to kind of recalibrate. And not only do I need to recalibrate with myself, but I need to recalibrate with what everyone's strength is with this particular group, and we have to try to figure out how to maximize that. Now, I know that sounds cliched, but you could tell. I think when you're talking to somebody, you can understand kind of like their thought process when they're saying that stuff. But I took the most from was him saying, like, hey, I kind of screwed this up. I've also been pouting a little bit. I need to. My expectations of this group has to be recalibrated because it's maybe even a slight bit unreasonable. Those are my words, not his. But I would imagine that's what his thought process was. And I just think that he's done a really good job of figuring out, hey, this is who I got. This is the lot I got to work with. And I got to make sure that I can make that work against this group. It does help that this Rockets team is inept offensively in a lot of ways. But I just think they have a better group defensively than they would if they have those guys. Clearly you want those guys on the floor. But in this particular matchup, defensively, I think they're in a better position right now.
Look, a year ago, JJ had a playoff game where he decided not to substitute in a half, which, like, I don't even know what went down there. Like, even if you didn't love your team, like, what are we doing here? Okay, now look at it. What he's got now. Okay, what George is describing there. He's like, okay, I don't have Luka and I don't have Reaves. Luke Kennard.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a spot up shooter. He's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. But if you take a look at him, he thrived earlier in his career and earlier in his life off the dribble. Like, this is a guy who was one of the great scorers. He beat LeBron's scoring record in Ohio. He passed LeBron as a scorer. He didn't do that standing in the corner waiting for kickouts. I wonder, and George, you'll probably talk to JJ, one-on-one before I will. I wonder if JJ ever thought, I could be more than just the guy who stands in the corner or runs the floppy action where I would run around and get a screen, catch and shoot. Like, if they put the ball in my hand a little bit, let me dribble some, maybe I could have done this in the NBA.
Wait, are you saying that JJ, because we all saw Luke Kennard when he showed up here, right? And we're like, okay, he's a JJ Redick player. White guy, Duke guy, shooter. Okay, he's that kind of guy. I know this, and I said it to George earlier, what I'm learning about Luke Kennard that I did not know about him, whether it was because I didn't follow his career previous to getting here or because he didn't play this style earlier when he was with the Lakers, he's a phenomenal athlete. I mean, the way he moves, he's got a smoothness and a flow and an athleticism to the way he moves, and he's so much more. So do you think that JJ is looking at Kennard going, I can put him in the position I want him to be in because he'll think like me, he'll play like me, he'll do the things that I would want to do?
Well, I'm speculating that JJ wonders what happened if I ever got a chance to actually dribble the ball. But I think when you have Luke Kennard and you've got...
Which he did plenty of in college, by the way.
Well, I don't remember. Are you talking about Kennard or are you talking about JJ? I don't remember.
Well, I'll talk about JJ.
I don't remember. But anyway, well, I'll tell you this. When you've got Reaves and you've got LeBron and you've got Doncic, Luke Kennard is not one of your offensive creators. Luke Kennard is go run, pick and pop, and go stand in the corner and wait for the kick out. When you don't have that, what JJ's doing is he goes, okay, what do I have? I know what I don't have. Well, I can't look at the injury report and have tears roll down my cheek. What do I have? I have this guy in Luke Kennard who can do more than just shoot or do more than just stand in the corner, okay? So let's, like, by the way, it could have failed. Like, they could have done this and the experiment could have failed. Luke Kennard could be getting wide open shots and missing them. He could just JJ could have the right process and not get the same result. But my point is, he's like, okay, what do I have here with this clay? And he said, let's try to reactivate the Luke Kennard that got him to the NBA. And it's worked. Okay. Now look, Marcus Smart was hot last night. Marcus Smart could have missed those shots, but he didn't. Okay. But when you look at what happened in this game, you get 48 points from Smart and Kennard. Maybe Reaves and Doncic score a little bit more than that, but I think and by the way, against the Rockets, you don't need 120 to win. You get 100, you're going to win. They got 101 last night. They got
Right.
48 of the 101 from those two guys.
Amazing.
Yep.
And, LeBron, this is the way LeBron played 20 years ago. He had teams that had some talent on them, but, he pretty much had to manufacture it. And, he goes 8 of 20 last night, but he gets the line 14 times. He has assists, he has rebounds. This is the way he played 20 years ago. This is just going back to that. And, I'll say this. JJ decides we're going with Jackson Hayes down the stretch. I don't know why he came to that conclusion, because Ayton was terrific in game 1. He saw what he saw, and he's like, you know what? Tonight, Jackson Hayes is going to finish. Şengün couldn't do it. I mean, Şengün had a couple more baskets than he did the other day. I guess his game was a little bit better. Jackson Hayes plus 12 last night. He rode Jackson Hayes. JJ's making good decisions, but he's also hot. He's touching buttons that are lighting up.
Well, you know what? When it comes to JJ, two things stand out. You mentioned last year where he chose not to sub in the second half. And I would have thought that Jackson Hayes, just thinking about kids' egos today, that he would never have come back to the Lakers because his feelings were hurt. He was embarrassed, right? I mean, he's the starter, and he couldn't even get off the bench for the entire game. But they brought him back. He's been very professional, and JJ has found the right times to use him. That's number one. The other one is Jared Vanderbilt. Now, Jared Vanderbilt should never shoot the ball again, ever. Okay?
Get the side of the backboard.
Right, he should never, ever, ever shoot the ball. But that being said, it wasn't that long ago, only about 2 weeks ago, and I think it was the second game of the Oklahoma City series here in L.A., where remember what happened that night. You were at the game. We were talking about it. That was the night where Vanderbilt and him got into a spat, and he walked off the floor.
That's right.
And you would have thought that maybe he wouldn't have been back, or maybe he'll never get off the bench. So those are two players that JJ is utilizing in the right times and circumstances where you thought that maybe he could have lost those guys. And that's the credit of great coaching, communication, relationships.
Honesty, this is why the NBA playoffs are a very compelling story every year. And one of the things I love about the NBA is the stories that happen within a playoff series. You know, it's 12 to 15 days, maybe sometimes it's 8 days, whatever, where there's this push and pull, and there's, guys going against each other, individual matchups, coaches, really got their sleeves rolled up, and, fans getting engaged, heroes being born, different things happening, little, trends happen, and, things catch on. I love this. And so, and again, when you achieve without expectation, it's the greatest thing in the NBA. Obviously, at some point, you're going to have the expectation you want to win, but to win without expectation, the joy. I mean, I was watching last night. I was in the building at the end of the game in our studio because I had to do Scott Van Pelt, but I'm watching the fans come out of crypto, looking out the window, and the joy that those fans were experiencing. They didn't think they were getting a win. They were just like, we're going to go see what happens. We're going to go cheer our best. They got a win. They're up 2-0. Like, it's great. And look, Austin's, doing stuff. A week ago, we were like, how can they possibly get it to 5? Can they get it back to LA? How can they get it to 6? Guys, they're the favorites in the series now. They're the favorites in the series, and Luka and Austin are starting to do stuff. Luka's out there before the game on the court. So, this, the NBA is fragile. Ask the San Antonio Spurs how fragile the NBA is. The NBA is fragile, but things in Lakers land are looking a lot different than they were just 10 days ago.
So they've got to go on the road now, and the old adage of role players play worse on the road. If, that's something LeBron actually referenced with Ashley Shamadi in his post-game interview. So now what? Now what do they do to keep their foot on the gas? What do you envision needs to continue to happen? Because we would assume that there will be an adjustment from Houston, right? What do the Lakers need to do to keep their foot on the gas here?
Well, they're probably going to need a little bit more scoring from LeBron. I think they're going to, I don't think you can count on getting this much scoring from the role players. Maybe Kennard will keep doing this, but as good as he's played, he hasn't been hot yet. So you may need a signature LeBron game where he puts up 35. And it's unfair to say you need more from him, but I don't know I don't know where to look to count on. And the thing is, Houston is a place where even the Lakers, although they won both games this year, teams go cold there. There's something about that building. Teams go in there and go cold. So you're still gonna be searching for offense, is my guess. And defensively, the Rockets make it a little easy. I mean, the Rockets' offense is so rough. I assume that the Rockets are going to come around. Like, I thought Reed Shepherd would. Like, I was thinking he was going to come because down the stretch of the season, Reed Shepherd had a bunch of really good games.
Mm-hmm.
He goes 6 of 20 in game 1, and I was like, oh, okay, well, that guy could easily hit 5 threes in a game and like be a difference-making player.
Or he could do what he did last night.
Well, Ime didn't play him. Ime took him out of the starting lineup and played him 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And he was 0 for everything.
But you have to believe that as somebody like Tari Eason or Reed Shepherd is going to go in game 3 or 4 and have a big game. So you're gonna need more scoring. You're not going to get away with thinking you're going to give up 93 points.
Or how about 24% from 3-point range for Houston?
Good stat.
Terrible.
Good stat.
Terrible.
12 minutes is not a lot of time, but it does feel like that's the lifespan of the Rockets potentially in this series.
Oh, how about professional?
What a transition.
Oh, my God.
Guy's
amazing.
Guy's incredible.
Notes. I'm going to write
Guy's incredible.
Yeah.
So the lifespan of the Rockets, 12 minutes, George.
Well, listen, the Lakers started this series like a plus 700 or whatever. They're now a minus 135, as Brian alluded to in the last segment. And now all of a sudden,
it's been look how long it's been since the Lakers have lost 4 games total. Like,
right?
Look, have they lost 4 games in a month?
Well, in the month of April, they lost 3 games in a row.
Oh, that's
but
right.
that's when they lost the 2 players. You know,
Okay.
so Oklahoma City, Dallas, Oklahoma City,
I'm
they
gonna
lost
tell
those
you,
3 games.
It's going to be. I don't know if the Rockets are equipped to beat the Lakers 4 times.
No.
In 5 games. I
don't believe so.
I mean, Durant, you have to allow for the fact that some of these role players will get hot. They will have their Marcus Smart. Somebody, I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's Jabari Smith. Maybe it's Tari Eason. Maybe it's Reed Shepherd. Like, you have to understand that somebody's going to get hot. You're gonna take it in the gut from an unexpected source. That's the nature of the playoffs. But now you're looking at 4 and 5. I mean, no one's beat LeBron 4 and 5. Other than like the Warriors back in the day when they had the powerhouse team.
But he didn't have a 2-0 lead in that series.
Hell no.
Nope. So that's just it. I know there's some stats out there today. We were talking about it earlier this morning that in LeBron's career, this is the 25th time in his career that he's had a 2-0 lead in a series, and he's won all 24 of the previous series.
I quit covering his first round series because he went through a stretch for like 6-7 years.
6-7.
Where he didn't lose a first round game.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, yeah. And, not that LeBron is in his prime, but he's still pretty damn good. The story of this LeBron season, one of the things I always talk about, people, the conversation that everybody wants to have about LeBron is the big picture. They want to get Jordan. They want to get LeBron. They don't actually want to talk about it. They want to say what their position is. They don't care what you say. They'll wait for you to say your position, and then no one's ever entered the conversation thinking one thing and then exited the conversation.
Right. Nobody's
which is
persuadable.
Why I really don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is, the more interesting thing to talk about LeBron is the individual stories of these seasons, or the individual stories of these 2 years or 3 years. And you look at what actually happened in those years. What's fascinating, the story of this season for LeBron, in the volumes of the LeBron seasons, it's rapidly moving up because when he came back was it November he came back?
He was out for the first probably 13, 14 games. Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood, right?
Looked
So
terrible.
I want to say it was early December, Brian. First week of December, I'm pretty sure.
George, he looked terrible.
Yeah?
He looked 40. And we were having conversations at ESPN. We were like, maybe we should start our content plans for his retirement stuff, because this is the first time I had ever seen him where it's like, boy, this really, because people were like, how many more years is he going to play? And I'm like, well, he's averaging a triple-double. So that was the first time I was like, I don't know, this might be it. So that's where the season started. And by the way, it was because he had no summer and he had no training camp. It wasn't, and then, 3/4 of the way through the season, he, or 2/3 of the 2/3, he sort of makes this move where he starts playing a different style, and he's pushing Austin out there and pushing Luka, and the team's taking off, and he's adjusting, and he's playing transition LeBron and corner LeBron. And then this giant curve happens, and he's got the gear shift ratcheting back up to give me the ball, get out of my way, let me be old vintage LeBron. Like the story of this LeBron season, just this season, has been remarkable. It's still unfolding. And this is what I always say, like, just enjoy the story of this season. I know that you're programmed as a Laker fan to say, put another star on the court. I get that. But just the story of this year, the story of this team in the last month, it's incredible to watch and experience.
It is. And on so many levels, it always starts with LeBron, okay? But it's LeBron and all the things, the highs and the lows of this season that you just pointed out, the different iterations of this team this year because of the role that he had to play. That's one part of it. The second part of it is, remember during the trade deadline and they got Luke Kennard, and most people were like, that's it? That's what you guys did? You got Luke Kennard, really? And now look at how that has paid off.
Yeah, Rob Pelinka, also Marcus Smart.
Correct. Marcus Smart and Luke Kennard, who were both guys that I don't think anybody thought these were massive impact moves per se. And both of these guys have made Rob Pelinka look brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's the combination of JJ putting Luka in a position to be successful, and also because there were multiple bids for Kennard. They had to do some negotiating there. Like, there were multiple rounds of talks, and, it ended up being did they give a second in that deal?
I think it was a second.
Yeah.
I'm almost sure.
Gabe Vincent in a second,
Yeah.
wasn't that it? But
definitely Gabe Vincent. Yeah. He's gone.
Yeah.
But by the way, I'm not trying to spin this and make this a downer. It's going to be really hard for them to re-sign him.
Well, it either is or it isn't. It just this is a conversation for after this run is over, whatever it is.
Sure.
The Lakers have a challenge with this team, which is that if they're going to go anywhere long term, they got to deal with their center position. With all due respect to Ayton and Jackson Hayes, who've done a good job in the first two games, like that's not a way to go forward against the bigs in the Western Conference.
Right.
So they're going to have to spend some money on the center. But yeah, I think they're going to want to re-sign Hachimura. They're going to want to re-sign Kennard. Obviously, they're going to re-sign Reaves. They're going to want to re-sign LeBron. So there's no room in there for your big ticket center. So they're going to have some maneuvering to have to figure out how that's going to be. That's going to be a hard, and that's what Rob Pelinka is going to be working on today. Like his meetings that he's having with his people today are like, maybe not today, but like right now we're like, how are we gonna get a center?
Well, that's
in June and July.
But that's kind of interesting because I think, like, somebody asked me yesterday, like, so do you think LeBron will retire? And I said, no. Why would he? He's playing amazing basketball right now. It doesn't matter what his number is, 41. It doesn't matter. He's playing brilliant basketball. So I don't think he'll retire.
I am 41.
And then somebody said, well, if he doesn't retire, will he be back with the Lakers? And I said, well, if you would have asked me this 2 or 3 months ago, I'd have told you there's no chance. Now I would tell you it's a very high possibility. In fact, I would call it a likelihood. And the way you just said it, Brian, and George, I'd love to hear what you think. It almost seems the way LeBron is playing right now, the way he is carrying this team right now, the way he is inspiring this fan base right now, I kind of think I think the Lakers are going to be more inclined to want to bring LeBron back.
I don't think there's any doubt they want to bring him back. Here's the challenge. What is LeBron's value?
Yeah, what's the number?
Not what is his value to the franchise as an icon, because he's worth, he's making 50-something million this year. He's probably worth some multiple of that. Okay. What is his value as a player? And here's the thing. Like, you want to honor your star player. You do not, you want him to be excited about, invested in it, which is what they did with Kobe. He's coming off an Achilles and they overpaid him because they wanted to honor him. But at the same time, with the dynamics of the salary cap and the apron system, you cannot afford to just pay a guy. Like I respect, like, Kobe, everything that you've done for us. We are giving you this last contract. We know you're not going to be worth the 25, whatever it was a year, but you've earned this plus X, and here you go. That didn't hurt you back then. Now it would hurt you. And here's the reality. There's not going to be another team that's going to offer LeBron $35 million. It's not that he's not worth $35 million. No, and by the way, there are teams who would pay him that, but they can't pay him that without the Lakers' cooperation. None of the teams that have cap space, the Bulls, the Nets, the Jazz.
Get out of here.
He ain't going to play any of those places.
Well, those teams aren't offering a 41-year-old $35 million.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lakers have to figure out, how do you honor LeBron? how do you, want him still invested, but not bid against yourself and undercut team building? And if it was a different era where you could be deeper into the tax, and Mark Walter would be like, look, I don't care. Give LeBron the $50 million. He's worth twice that to me. Just give it to him. That's not what it's about anymore. Now, if you give LeBron $50 million, you may not be allowed to make a trade next February. And that's just the reality of the system. So it's prickly. And I've had this conversation. I have looked at the people who are involved in this and said, what do you think LeBron's value is? There is not a clean answer. So that will definitely be something. And by the way, that's going to have to get figured out in June, because the Lakers are going to have to know going into the draft what their maneuverability is. And I don't know if it's going to get figured out in June. But I don't like talking about this when they're up 2-0 in a series in the first round.
Right.
No, I hear you.
You can't help it, but just based on the way he's played, you can't help but think about wanting him back.
Yeah. Brian, go ahead. Sorry.
I will tell you one thing. Like, basketball fans should if you're on the fence and you don't care, you should be all in on the Lakers, because if the Rockets win this series, I don't know if they would break 80 points against the Thunder. So, whereas if the Lakers are able to get 2 more wins here, and maybe you bring Doncic into the equation, you get a much more interesting series potentially next round. Obviously, all the business people at ESPN are like, please, Lakers, please, 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 please. But just from a basketball fan standpoint, like, I'm watching Houston and I'm thinking what might happen against that defense. I don't even want to. I honestly, George, if I was a Rockets fan, I would be so frustrated at what my team was coming out with and making the same mistakes in April that they were making in January. It would be like, I would be going crazy watching this Rockets team play. So for the good of the league, the Lakers need 2 more wins. And I don't just say that from a market standpoint.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, the Rockets are infuriating to watch. They've been infuriating to watch for a while now. And I just think that, look, if the Lakers somehow can get Austin back, and who knows, maybe they can get Luka back in the second round, it at least, to your point, makes it certainly is more interesting television that way. So the partners will all be happy.
Better story. Forget about the money. Like, forget about that we work for ESPN. Okay, the Lakers are on 7-10. It's better business for the Lakers to have more playoff games. Okay, but let's just forget about that. The listeners don't care. The story. I care about the story. Mm-hmm. The story is so much better.
Way better.
Get 2 more, guys. Mm-hmm. Figure out how to get 2 more.
By the way, if you can get 2 more, and it could get to like game 6-ish, because again, the longer it goes, then the more, I guess, hope the Laker fans would have to get one or both of the stars back.
Well, the second round will start about the same time no matter what. Okay,
so even if you swept them, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
But I would just say you have to expect Houston to level maybe not, I'm not saying they're going to win both, but you have to, some things have gone the Lakers' way in these 2 games, and they've earned it. This is not luck, but some things have gone their way that, like, I have to assume that Şengün is an all-star. Şengün is not going to keep getting, he got outplayed by Ayton in game 1. Jackson Hayes, like, he didn't play him even, but like, his performance was average yesterday against Jackson Hayes. I cannot believe that will continue. At some point, Alperen Şengün is going to have, I guess it's not law, George. I guess there's nowhere written that he must, but I figure at some point Şengün's going to have a 32-point, 10-assist game. Like, that's probably going to happen. You should prepare for that. That the Lakers will have a stumble here. But they're in position now where they've opened their margin for error. Their margin for error is now in a position where you feel like they could. I think they are appropriately favored, George. Don't you think they're appropriately favored?
Yeah, agreed wholeheartedly. I don't think there's any question.
Like last year when the Knicks went into Boston and pulled 2 games out of the fourth quarter out of their you-know-where, right. I still thought that the Celtics were going to win that series, even though they were down 2-0 going to New York.
Yep. Yeah.
And me saying that on television got literally people throwing things at me in New York.
Oh, I know. I saw.
Remember.
Yeah.
But I looked at that series and said, I believe that the Celtics are the better team. I do not feel that about this. I look at the Lakers and say these were earned victories and the Rockets got major problems. I look at this completely differently.
Yeah. Hey, I know you got to run. So thank you for hanging out with us. I know you got to jump to a meeting, so thanks for hanging out. Keep Cappy posted on when you're going to wear a suit, and hopefully Cappy will.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring in both now because now I don't know which way you're going to go. You know?
Listen, so I'll be back next Wednesday, and we got 5 series that are 1-1. Okay, 5 series are 1-1, and the number 1 seed in the East is down 0-1. So maybe they win tonight, but you got 5 series that are 1-1. I have no idea what the look of the league is in these playoffs are going to be when I get back here next Wednesday.